Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. For anyone who's new here, my name is Lysha from Lysha Be Creative, and today is the very first day of my 8 Days of Christmas video series. So what that means is that every day for the next 8 days, I'll be posting a holiday Christmas theme related tutorial on my channel here, so you definitely want to make sure that you don't miss any of the downloads for this week. So today's tutorial is the very first day, and we are doing this super cute, different and unique candy cane swirl tumbler. I'm really excited with how this came out. It was one of those cups that I didn't really have a vision for. I kind of just let the process be. So I'm happy to take you guys along that journey with me. So of course, everything I use in today's tutorial will be listed and linked down in the description box below. So make sure you check that description box out for discount codes, as well as all the links to my social media and my Facebook group. So let's go ahead and get started on day one of the 8 Days of Christmas. Alright, so I am starting with a true 22-ounce tumbler that I purchased from the Steel Magnolia, and I wanted to show you how I prep my tumblers. So I'm taking a 60 grit sanding block, and I am just going to rub and sand all over my tumbler, making sure to get the bottom rim, the edge, all over, and essentially we're just trying to remove that layer of shine on that stainless steel finish. So now I'm just going to spray down my tumbler with some 91% alcohol to wipe off all of the shine and the sanding grit that we've gotten all over the tumbler. So you can expect that your coffee filter or paper towel will be kind of black, and that's okay. You're just kind of getting all of that polish off of the tumbler, and that is going to give you a kind of dull look, but it's also going to help so that your epoxy and paint stick to this tumbler. So let's go ahead and jump into our spray painting. I'm going to be painting my tumbler with this ocean mist, and I'm going to do 2 full coats. So instead of doing an epoxy thin layer and doing regular epoxy method glitter application, I wanted to show you another technique that I like to do sometimes. And this is kind of what I do for any of my cheap method glitter application, but we're going to add Silent Night, which was in the last subscription box from Lysha Creations. It was all of these custom mixes created by Myra Makes It. So she was the influence for this last subscription box. And this is this really gorgeous pastel blue that I love. So I have about 20 mLs of epoxy that I've mixed here, and I've put enough glitter on top of this epoxy to cover the epoxy. And so now I'm stirring this up, and we are going to apply this to the tumbler just like I would with a normal coat of epoxy. So as you're putting your glitter-filled epoxy on your tumbler, you want to make sure that you are getting full coverage all over your cup, and then definitely make sure that you hit this with a torch to pop any bubbles that you may have rise. So after the initial glitter coat, I did add another 20 mLs of epoxy, and now I'm ready to sand my top rim. After I've sanded and cleaned off my cup, this is kind of where I wasn't really sure where I was going to go with this tumbler. So I decided I wanted to add some vertical stripes to the tumbler, and because I didn't have any real plan for this cup, I knew the colors that I wanted to make sure I captured on this cup, but I wasn't really sure what the overall design was going to be. So I loved the thought of a vertical striped cup in my head, and so I started with that, and then you're going to see that this design definitely morphs into something unique. So I am using 1-inch blue painter's tape, and I am putting 2 strips side by side. You could use 2-inch painter's tape and get the same look. I just didn't have any, so I had to use my inch painter's tape and just put 2 pieces side by side. So I am separating each of my vertical stripes by 2 inches worth of tape before I go in with my line. So I have a total of, I believe I have a total of 3 vertical lines that I've taped off here, and you're going to notice that this last edge here is a little bit shorter than the others, so I do go back in and readjust some of the tape so that it looks a little bit more even. But because I don't have any real design, I kind of just wanted to see what happens with this design styled cup. So now that my tape has been readjusted, I'm going to use my cup edging tool to give myself a nice clean edge on the bottom rim. And then now I'm going to take my cup and I'm going to spray paint it with a gloss light pink spray paint, and I'm actually going to do an ombre with white as well. With my cup now spray painted, I'm going to go ahead and remove all of the tape. I did only do one generous coat of both the pink and white on the tumbler here, enough to get full coverage, and I did wait a full 30 minutes before the cup was dry, before I removed my tape. Okay, so now, I wasn't really sure where the design for this cup was going, but I decided that I wanted my pink and white section there to be a little bit more glitter and sparkly, so we're going to do another epoxy layer here. So we are doing the epoxy method glitter application here, so I'm just doing a very thin coat of epoxy, no more than 1 ml of epoxy here, and really spreading that on thin all over my tumbler. We're going to add a little bit of sparkle just to the pink and white sections here to really sparkle up this cup. So I am using Frosty from Peachy Olive Glitters, as well as Mistletoe Kisses, again from that Myasha Creations glitter subscription box. So we are going to take each of these glitter colors and we're just going to sprinkle them in that pink and white section. So starting with Mistletoe Kisses, I am just sprinkling very gently and very generously. This is a very chunky cut glitter, so I want to be thoughtful with how I am applying my glitter to make sure I don't get a bunch of clumpiness, but to also make sure that I don't have my glitter sticking up. So this isn't going to be a full coverage of glitter, but more of a sprinkling to really just add a little bit of extra sparkle and kind of bring some more thought and kind of awareness to that pink and white section, so it's not just the spray painted colors. So now that I have done that with Mistletoe Kisses, I'm going to go in with Frosty. So Frosty is from Peachy Olive Glitters, as I had mentioned. It has more of a custom mix feel to this, so it has some square cut pieces, it has some stars, it has more translucent white pieces, so it really gives that kind of snowy frosted look, which I think complemented Mistletoe Kisses very well. So I'm just going to sprinkle again all over in those pink and white sections, and anywhere that I have gotten any of my glitter into the blue section, I'm just taking my weeding tool and pushing those glitter pieces over to those sections where they belong. So with my cup back on the turner, after that initial glitter coat there, it did get another coat of epoxy, but we're going to go ahead and work on our decals. So I will list all the decals and images that I use down in the description box. These are just rectangles that I cut with Cricut Design Space. I will put the dimensions for this down in the description box, and we are going to do a hack that I saw on TikTok. So I am adding a thin layer of Tack It over and over to my vinyl rectangles here. And I am just spreading that out with a little makeup brush that I like to use when I apply Tack It. So getting that thin layer all over this vinyl. And now I'm just going to hit that vinyl with my heat gun just to speed up the process of drying and get that glue to be that tacky feel that we want. So we are going to be adding glitter to this vinyl, and it's going to give this vinyl a sparkle. And when I saw this hack originally, she was using it because she needed to change the color of her vinyl, so like she didn't have the color she needed, and I wanted to see how this kind of works out. So I am using Fairy Dust from Shop Vinyl Gallery. I will list that shop down in the description box. Her website, she has lots of different vinyl pieces as well as gorgeous glitters and anything you can think of craft related on her shop or on her website, so definitely check that out. So I've doused this entire sheet of vinyl in my Fairy Dust glitter, and now I'm going to do exactly what I would be doing with a tumbler. I am going to rub down this vinyl until all of the glitter on the vinyl is completely flat. So what I love about this Fairy Dust color is it really is a translucent, gorgeous color, and it just gives that extra sparkle that I didn't know I needed to this vinyl. So now with that vinyl all nice and sparkly, we are going to use these thicker rectangles to apply to our tumbler. So I am going to kind of create this candy cane striped look around the tumbler, but only the stripes are going to show on that Silent Night blue sections. So I start with that large rectangle piece and I carry that all the way around the cup for as far as I can go, trying to do my best to line up the different sections so that it doesn't look like it's a bunch of different stripes in each section. At the end of the day, were my lines completely straight? No, but that's okay. That's kind of the fun. And when you're creating, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I think that's something that sometimes we get a little bit stressed out about. And really, it's all about having fun and enjoying your crafting process. So now that I've applied all of those white strips, I went in with just some textured metallic silver that I had. And I'm doing the exact same thing that I did with the white pieces that we had glittered. And I am just applying that vinyl all over the tumbler in between those white striped pieces. So again, just kind of taking that long rectangular piece and dragging that in a slant or a diagonal all the way across the tumbler to put that silver lining in between those white sections. Now I'm just going to clean off those areas and make sure that I don't have any overlapping on my pink and white section, and fixing any of my lines that were a little bit wonky. Again, my lines are definitely not perfect, but again, that's kind of just the fun in creating and coming up with something new. So now with the striping done, we're going to go ahead and add these snowflakes. Again, I will list the dimensions for my snowflakes as well as where I got these snowflakes in the description box. And we're just adding these snowflakes into those pink and white sections to really just give a little bit more pop and attention to those areas. So I have different sizes of these snowflakes here, and I'm just applying them where I feel that they fit best. Before I did my final coats of epoxy on my cup, I did go back in and apply a few more snowflakes to fill up some of that empty space on the pink and white sections. Once my snowflakes are all on, I'm going to use some polyacrylic from the Minwax brand that I purchased right from Walmart and just cover my entire cup with this polyacrylic. I want to make sure that my vinyl does not give me any trouble and lift during the final coats of epoxy, so I'm going to make sure that I have a nice thin coat all over the vinyl so that I don't have any lifting in my epoxying process. So as you know, this cup took me another 2 final coats of epoxy before it was finished, but I just love how different this cup came out and looks. I love sometimes just working on a cup and not having a real plan and seeing just the beauty in the process.